Hello there, I'm Hades, and I am making this video specifically to talk about some upcoming banners for Wuthering Waves, mainly the Qingxiao and the Jingran banners. And the reason I'm making this video is because I've heard and seen a lot of people talking about these banners, talking about how 6.3 is going to be one of the most mid updates, talking about mid Zhao, all these things, and it's just come to my attention that very few creators that I've seen talking about this, I think are approaching this from the right direction. So I want to go over this to kind of tell you guys what I think the future of Withering Waves is looking like and the future of these two characters. We're going to start with Qingxiao. Now, Qingxiao is obviously an arrow, and as far as we understand it right now, an arrow Toon Strain main DPS. So I'm going to talk about her banner first. Her banner is running alongside her and Denya. Denya as a rerun character, and Qingxiao obviously is her first run on the game. Why this is important is when I'm talking about these two characters, Qingxiao and Jingran, and we're going to talk about his banner in a little bit. If you were a brand new player, you had just started Withering Waves right before 3.6, and you had no other units, and you just were looking on whether or not you should try to pull Qingxiao or Jingran, I would personally tell you Qingxiao is the far better pull for your Ashterites if you are a brand new player. And the reason is simple. In 3.6 Part 1, you get Qingxiao and her best in slot teammate in Denya. Then, in 3.7, running alongside Jingran is going to be, and let me see if I can pull it up here, Mornier and Hayuki. Why this is important is that is the entire team for Qingxiao. I know the banners, I don't see where I thought they had them up there, but they don't. You can get Mornier, and I don't have Denya, right away. You can get Mornier, Qingxiao, Denya as a full team right off the bat for this unit. If you had no pulls whatsoever, and you had just played through all of 3.5, you had all those pulls saved up, and you had just somehow spent none of your pulls, and you're just now getting up there, so you have a bunch of pulls saved up from doing all the quest and the exploration and all these things, those are your 3 units that will make a perfect team right away. And really quickly going to Jingran, Jingran does not have that option. If you're brand new starting and you're picking Jingran, well, on his banner, you do have the 4-star unit of Mortefi, who's a good option for Jingran, but then no one has a dedicated support for him. And if you want his best teams, you'd want Lupa or Yuno. And we don't know when they're going to rerun, at least at this moment. Maybe in 3.8, Yuno's getting a rerun, and that'll be great for you if you are a Jingran wanter. But really, we don't know right now. But here's the other thing. If you're a veteran player or returning player, and you happen to have this team right here, Cartethia, Chacona, and Chisa, well then you're saying, oh, I don't need Qingxiao, I've got my arrow coverage. But if you're a long-time player of Wuwa, I have a really honest question for you. How does that make any sense? If you're a Wuwa long-time player, do you not have this team? Did you not pull for Hayuki? Do you not have Amith? Do you not have Yang Yang? If all of those things are true, okay, great. You don't need Qingxiao because you're only going to have your one Chisa use. But if you got Hayuki, and you got Amith and Denya, or you got Yang Yang, well then suddenly that Chisa is getting used up very quickly. And I'm just going to go out and say, most people didn't get Yang Yang. Most people completely skipped Yang Yang. She is one of the least pulled units in the game. But alongside that, so is Soy Soy. Soy Soy is also not a highly owned unit. And you might be saying, oh, what am I talking about? Where am I getting this info from? And I'm just going to pull up this site called Wuwa Tracker. This is not the end-all be-all of information, but it is a modicum, small little part of the overall statistics for Wuthering Waves. And Wuwa Tracker has this great thing where you can see global statistics. This is anyone who uses Wuwa Tracker. Their polls are taken into account and stored here in their database. So right now, this is Soy Soy's banner. And keep in mind, we're less than a week away from getting Qingxiao. Soy Soy's banner has done really, really poorly. She has 5.9, maybe 6 million polls, and this is obviously just of the people who use this site, so it's not everybody. But I want to put that into context. Yang Yang, her sister, same thing. Only 8 million polls, not a huge amount. And then we're going to go over to Hayuki. Almost 30 million polls. She has almost 3x'd Soy Soy's polls. Why am I talking about this? Well, a lot of people have Hayuki. I would say most of the player base pulled for Hayuki. I would also say, when we go over to, where is she? Her original rerun, because she's rerun a couple of times. Cartethia. Come on. Cartethia is also a very highly owned unit. So a lot of people pulled Cartethia. But then, this is the part that I think I've only seen one creator talk about. For Jingran specifically, right? Because I keep seeing everybody say Jingran is the better of the two pulls. Jingran is where you should focus your astrites on. Jingran is up against another highly owned unit, even more so than Cartethia with 23 million pulls. Where is she? Where's her original run? In Our Daughter Amith. Quite possibly the most owned unit in the entirety of Wuwa. She might be the highest pulled unit in the entire game. So you're now competing whether or not you think Jingran is worth completely giving up on your Amith for, or Cartethia is completely worth giving up for Qingxiao. And now both of those options might not sound like a good idea, but here's the other part. We have gotten many, many more negative status units. And if you have Hayuki, if you have Yang Yang, or if you have Imith Denya,
a laser sword.
You're going to need to use Chisa.
Pretty cool, right?
And the reason I'm bringing that up is, again, Soy Soy is not a really owned unit. So I'm asking the question to you guys. If you didn't pull Soy Soy, which a lot of people didn't, what are you doing? What in the world are you doing with your teams? Are you just using Hayuki, Lucilla, Chisa? And if that's the case, how are you going to be using your Cartethia team? What is Cartethia doing? Is she using Arrow Rover? Is that your explanation? Is you're just going to use Arrow Rover on your Cartethia team? That's a fine option.
Leaving the past behind.
But then we come again to the problem that I'm currently having is Sheen. We know Sheen's going to be coming very soon, and she's going to be a negative status unit. So if you're going to have Hayuki, Cartethia, and Sheen, you've already got all three of your uses there. And if you have just one Yang Yang, or Fusion Burst Imith,
Look, a
then you
laser
have your
sword.
three uses there. And the other thing is,
Pretty cool, right?
Sheen's going to want to use Electro Rover. So your Cartethia is getting
The power to split.
all of her supports taken away. Now, I'm not telling you that you have to pull Qingxiao for arrow coverage. There's also the other character that I didn't talk about inside of Sigrika, right? Sigrika is another arrow unit that's incredibly powerful, very strong, but again, most people didn't pull Sigrika. She is one of the least owned units in the game. She might be, right now, other than Soy Soy, the least owned unit in the entire game. So I don't expect a lot of people to have Sigrika. And if you have Sigrika, then you're fine. You don't need Qingxiao. You have no need for arrow coverage. Sigrika's got you covered. But most of us have Imith, so you don't need Jingran. And what's more, if your account's anything like mine, and this is the only time that I would even tell you you should pull Jingran, is if you have one of these two units in Yuno
While the moon cycles,
or Lupa,
shall
and I have
no
both,
one
right?
tarnishing While the moon cycles, while the moon
If you
cycles,
already have one of these two
I
units,
remain the anchor.
I think you're fine to pull Jingran. I think there's no problems. You can make a decent team with him no matter what. But if you don't have either one of those two units, you shouldn't pull Jingran at all. You shouldn't even think about Jingran. You should look at him and say, wow, his weapon is cool. Wow, he looks cool. I'll get him on a rerun. Because you don't have a team for him in the slightest. And that's why I'm going back to Qingxiao, in that her best in-slot team is running right alongside her. You can get her and her best two teammates in 2 patches. That's an incredible value for a single pull unit. And the thing about Jingran is he doesn't have anywhere near that value. Yes, you can get more Teffy. Yes, you could probably run Shorekeeper more Teffy with Jingran. Is that going to be better than your current Imith team? Probably not. And the other thing is too, if you're someone who doesn't have Denya, but you have Lupa, well, guess what? You could get Qingxiao, run Lene on your
Got a
Qingxiao
long
team
bucket list.
on Toon Strain
Good thing
mode,
I've got time to check every
and then
box.
just put Lupa with your Imith. So again, having Lupa can just facilitate you using Imith over Jingran. These are the things that I think I've only seen one creator talking about, and that's Saint Tontas, if you didn't know. I've only seen him talking about these things. Everything else I've seen has been mid-Zhao, Zhao is terrible, Jingran is the guy to go for. But everything I've seen makes it that Jingran is a only well-invested account pull, only if you have Yuno already, only if you have Lupa already, which, by the way, Lupa hasn't ran in like 9 months. I think it was literally in May that Lupa ran. I think that was the last rerun of Lupa, was in May. Where was it? I think it was. Don't quote me on it. I'm looking for it right now. Yeah. Amos Chisa Lupa. Oh no, in February, right? In February was the last time Lupa even ran. So 9 months almost. And if you have Yuno, who was again 4-5 months, yeah. Lupa ran here alongside Hayuki Mornier Yuno, or Yuno ran here, sorry. So if you don't have one of those two units, Jingran is incredibly difficult as an option to want to pull for. And like I said, my real question for all of you, what are you doing with your negative status teams? If you have not pulled Soy Soy, and Soy Soy is again one of the least owned units in the game, then you're running Hayuki, Lucilla, Lene, Chisa. You're running that team. And then what is your Cartethia getting? Right now in N-Shape Matrix, we have 2 uses of Chisa. But it literally says, for this phase only. Chisa's getting 1 extra vigor for this phase only. This phase is ending the same time Qingxiao's banner goes live. So you're not going to have those 2 uses of Chisa anymore. And if you're not pulling Soy Soy, then what is your Hayuki going to run? She's going to run Chisa. She's going to really want Chisa on her team. And if she's taking the 1 Chisa use, what are you going to do other than using Arrow Rover on your Cartethia? And you can say, oh, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to run Arrow Rover on my Cartethia. That's great. For 2 patches, you can run Arrow Rover.
I will be there for
and then the
everyone
moment Sheen comes
as
out,
we head toward our shared future, leaving the
you
past
are going to
behind.
use Electro Rover instead on Sheen's team. And again, your Cartethia is left without a teammate. But that's only if you only have 1 negative status team. If you just have Hayuki, if you just have Cartethia, if you just didn't decide to pull Denya and don't have Fusion Burst Denya, then I guess it's fine. If you just didn't decide to pull Yang Yang and you didn't decide to pull Soy Soy, then I guess it's fine. And that's the thing that I'm running into right now. Because this is just a current problem coming up of what you're going to do when Shin comes out. But what about Fusion Burst Rover? What about the Spectral Rover, Spectral Frazzle Rover? What about a actual Fusion Burst DPS or an actual Spectral Frazzle DPS? What are we going to do when those units come out? Are you still just going to be saying, oh, my 1 Chisa use is fine? Chisa has 1 use, 3 uses of a negative status support if you have Soy Soy, and we already have 4 teams. We've got Hayuki, we've got Fusion Burst Amith, we've got Yang Yang, and we've got Cartethia. Someone has to lose something. And I am, again, saying it's fine. Most people did not pull Yang Yang. 100%. Agreed. So most people are not like me in this necessarily same issue where they have too many negative status teams already. But my point is, Sheen is going to take 2 of the teammate options. She's going to take Soy Soy and Electro Rover, or Chisa and Electro Rover. That's what I think she's going to be doing with the negative status themes. That being the case, and your Chisa has 1 use, if you're not using Chisa on your Sheen team, and you have Hayuki, which most of us do, what are you going to do then? You're just going to say, oh, my Hayuki, one of the best units, if not the best unit in the game, is just not going to get her negative status support in Chisa, fine. Who are you going to use instead? Verena? Okay. What are you going to use for Cartethia? Because Electra Rover's going to be on that team.
Of your wishes.
I don't know. Maybe I'm talking about absolute nonsense. Maybe you guys just didn't pull Hayuki. You just didn't pull Yang Yang. You just didn't pull Denya. And you don't care at all because the only negative status team you have is Cartethia. And you don't plan on pulling Sheen. And that's your reason, is that you want to run Jingran. And I think if you like Jingran, you should get him. If you like any unit in Wuthering Waves, just for their looks and appeals, you should definitely get them. There's no reason to not get them. But my point is, Jingran, right now, is in the worst position I have maybe ever seen for any unit. He's right before the Sentinel Sheen. He's not running with any 5-star teammate, unless you're going to say you want to put Mornier on his team. Then you can say he's running with one other unit in Mornier. And he's running alongside his same banner with Hayuki, who again, if you were a brand new player, I would tell you to pull Hayuki over Jingran every single day. Jingran is the worst positioned unit I have ever seen in Wuwa. I don't think almost anyone should pull this unit. Now, am I going to pull this unit? Maybe. If I get really lucky on Qingxiao pulls, I'll probably pull Denya. And if I get super lucky on Qingxiao and Denya pulls, maybe I'll think about Jingran. But really, I think Jingran should just be skipped by a vast majority of players. Unless you're someone, like a content creator, who just has every single unit, and you're just pulling every single unit just to make videos on them. That is pretty much the only person that I think should be getting Jingran. As of right now. Let me know what you guys think. Hate it, love it, whatever.